Athletes, listen up. You want to get to the next level? This is what I teach my athlete clients. Okay? So we're going to draw a little guy here. We're going to name this guy Ken. That's my name, so I'm going to give him my name. He's Ken. We're going to give him some attributes. Ken is a basketball player. So he's a basketball player. You know what? We're going to make him a college basketball player at the University of Michigan. Michigan is my home team, so that's why I love Michigan. So he goes to Michigan. Not only do he goes to Michigan, he's projected to go to the next level. He projected to be like a top 10 pick on the next level. And we know he was a 5-star recruit. So we're going to write 5-star recruit right here, right? So when I ask Ken, what do you want? Ken goes and tell me, hey, I want to get to the next level. So we're going to write the things that Ken wants. We're going to write those things right here, right? So Ken wants to go to the next level. Ken wants to go to the NBA, right? What else do you want, Ken? Ken say, I want to win championships. So we're going to write win championships. What else do you want, Ken? Ken wants to be an elite two-way player. So we're going to write elite two-way player. What else do you want, Ken? Ken wants to be able to take care of his family. So, and the last thing Ken wants is Ken wants to be a leader that his teammates can trust, right? So I love that about Ken. Now, after sitting down and talking with Ken, I know what Ken's goals are in life. But now we got to see what's holding him back from getting these. So after extensively working with Ken, this is what I learned. Ken has a fear of failure. So we're going to go ahead and write that right here. Fear of failure. You know what else I discovered working with Ken? Ken has low self-value. You know what else I discovered working with Ken? Ken is inconsistent with his work ethic. He has a very inconsistent work ethic. Let's write that down. Inconsistent work ethic. Ken has poor emotional regulation. Poor emotional regulation. And guess what else? Ken is so distracted. Ken is very distracted, right? Now, if Ken ever want to get to the next level, win championships, become an elite two-way player, be able to take care of his family, and become a leader that his teammates can trust, Ken has to get rid of these things. And I'm going to go into detail and tell you a little bit more about what Ken is dealing with, right? So the fear of failure is basically Ken avoids the big shots. When the game on the line and the ball is in his hand, Ken pass the ball instead of shooting it. Ken hesitate on open look because he has a fear of failure. Ken play safe instead of aggressive because he has a fear of failure. Ken worry about it what his coaches think. He's always looking over at the coach because he has a fear of failure. Low self-esteem, low self-value, low self-belief. What does that mean? That means that Ken is constantly asking himself, am I good enough? Other players are more athletic. Can I play against them? Nobody where I'm from makes it, so am I good enough to make it? That's a low self-value. Ken has an inconsistent work ethic. What does that look like? Ken is skipping extra reps. Ken is not training when no one is watching. Ken has poor sleep habits. Ken has bad nutrition. Ken is still eating fast food, right? Ken has poor emotional regulation. If Ken missed 3 shots in a row, he hang his head and everybody in the arena knows that he's feeling sad and down about himself. A ref make a bad call, Ken loses his shit. A teammate turns over the ball, you can see the irritation in Ken's body language. The crowd is talking trash, Ken's talking trash back. He's so unfocused because he's more focused on what the crowd is doing. Ken has poor emotional regulation. And the last thing Ken is Ken is distracted. Ken has social media, he has the girls, he has the parties, he has comparing himself to everybody else. Ken is out here trying to look cool, right? He's so distracted. But what Ken has to understand, and this is what I teach my athlete clients, that if he's ever going to get to this, he has to get rid of this. This is what I help athletes with. The inner work. Get rid of this. So what I'm going to do is help Ken raise his vibrational frequency so high to it he become a match for everything he wants. I'll help Ken get rid of this whole row. Deal with the inner work so that he can get to the next level, win championships, become an elite two-way player, take care of his family, and he becomes the leader that his teammates trust because we know Ken has the potential. Ken is a basketball player at the University of Michigan. He's projected to go to the next level. He is a five-star recruit. But if Ken don't get rid of that fear of failure, that low self-confidence, that inconsistent work habit, that poor emotional regulation, and if he don't stop being distracted, Ken is going to lose it all. That's why you hire a mental performance coach. There is another level Ken can get to. Ken can get here. But first, he has to cut out this. And this is what I help athletes with. So, you want to become an athlete that make it to the next level? Join my Lux Energy experience and let me teach you how to prepare for pressure. Because to get to this level, you have to be very prepared for the pressures that come into your life. This is Coach Ken K. I love you guys, and I am praying that you will have a blessed day.